You are safe to trust in your dreams. This message has come through so strongly to share. This isn't going to be a long clip, but it's something my soul really wanted to bring through. And I feel like this holds so many people back. We feel the desire. We might know what we want, and yet there is something that holds us back from living that reality, from taking the aligned or inspired action that's going to bring us closer to the manifestation of that particular desire that we have. And this is where self trust is so important, self belief, and giving yourself this opportunity to really back yourself, to believe in your dreams. I want to talk about desires first because there is a lived energetic quality of our desires. They are placed in our awareness, in our field of awareness, or they're planted in our heart from the part of us, our soul essence that's guiding us. You have to imagine that you have a team, you have an energetic, spiritual team. Call them your posse, call them your guides, like name them. You don't have to know exactly who is a part of your, what I like to call my soul team, but each of us here who are incarnated on the planet Earth for this period of time that's called our lifetime is assigned a spiritual team. I can assure you that you have at least one, two, three guides, likely more. We can have more at different times of our life, particularly if we are navigating an expansion. And many that come to my channel and my work are either on the precipice of the expansion or they're being called into expansion. They're being called into something more. The very fact that you feel that impulse, that you have that desire, that you have the dream is all the evidence you need to know that that potential reality exists for you. It is not just some wishful thinking, hope, or dream, some far off dream that's not possible. And your mind might be telling you that because our mind tries to steer us away from expansion into what's known and familiar, which is why many will have the dream but stay in the job. Will feel like there's something more for them, but they'll stay circling around the same patterns and the same relationships or the same income limits and so forth. Because we are wired for safety, we are not wired for expansion. But our beautiful team of guides, our soul team, the creator that we are in divine communication with. If you know my work, you know I will always say we are not here doing it alone, having this spiritual experience. We are co creating alongside divine intelligence. So, a big part of this co creative relationship, from our perspective, what is needed from us is deep self trust and self belief. We can't believe in the divinity, we can't believe in the divine intelligence of the universe if we don't first believe in ourselves, because none of this is separate. You've heard of the universe, meaning the you inverse. The universe exists within us, and we are here to elevate our frequency, to elevate our state before we are going to see the manifestation in the external, right? Matter occurs after the magnetism, after we have mastered or anchored the energetic state or the frequency required to live out that reality, meaning it all begins in here. It's an inside job. So, a few things that I want to mention that have come through really strong. First of all, understanding you have a dream, you have the desire is one thing. Understanding that it is for you. The reason you have it is because it's potential for you to live that reality. It's like, I want you to think of it as like your future self is calling you towards a potential reality. It is not your job to figure out the how and to make it happen, but it is your requirement to do your part. And one of the things that holds people back is their own doubts and fears they have about themselves and their capacity. In the eyes of the divine, you are everything. You are connected to all that is. You have so much untapped potential within you. You are a powerful co creator. You are a powerful manifester. In fact, you are doing that all of the time. It's just that a lot of the time we can be manifesting experiences that we don't actually feel are favorable, that we don't actually want to experience, but we're doing it on autopilot based on our conditioning. And so when it comes to feeling an impulse, we all have that impulse or that intuition that leads us towards inspired action. Many of us will hold ourselves back from taking that step, from making that call, from putting themselves out there in a new way, from doing the action that is divinely inspired. Why? Because we don't believe that we're good enough. We might question, we fall into imposter syndrome, which is a fallacy, right? And we start to think, who am I to do this? Am I good enough? And so these are some of our real core foundational beliefs that we need to up level. We need to take inventory on what is it that's driving, that's sitting behind the emotional states that I experience, because our emotions are magnetic. Our feelings are magnetic. As Neville Goddard said, our feelings are the secret. So we want to up level our own self concept. So when I say it all begins with us, is we can't go and call in this really expansive new experience for ourselves, like manifesting a new job or a partnership or a high level income or a best-selling author, whatever it is, if we are still inside secretly believing that we are not good enough, that we are unworthy. So first and foremost, come back home to yourself. Remind yourself who you are, that you are a soul, a limitless soul, having this human experience. Call in your team who are here to guide, support you on this journey. And please start to know, remind yourself, infuse this into every cell of your being, that you are good enough right now. When I was guided to start a podcast a few years ago, I had incredible resistance, fears, and doubts, but I did it anyway. And I think so many of us will wait until we have a certain thing, until we have enough accreditation, until we've finished a certain course, until we have enough money in the bank, until we have enough of a following, until we feel confident enough before we take the action that is being intuitively guided by our soul and our soul team. And so for me, that action piece was start a podcast. And it started as a gentle whisper. It started as just this little seed that was planted. And this is what happens with your intuition. It might not be loud, but it is persistent. And it kept on coming. Anytime that I would communicate with my guides or tune into what was my next step. And often the information that's given to you defies logic, because we're not operating, when we're co-creating with the divine, we're not operating in the realm of logic and reason. We're going bigger than that. We're going beyond that. So I could have logicized it and said, well, this doesn't actually make logical sense, because how can I make money doing a podcast? Like, I just sold my business and I was looking more for the action that said, hey, do this practical, logical step because it's going to lead to this. That's not how our intuition works. And often we will be asked to do things that stretch us, that scare us, that bump up against doubt and resistance, where we can't necessarily see the path forward because we're not given the whole piece of the puzzle. We're just given, or we're given just one piece of the puzzle. We're not given the whole map. And so in that moment, I could have chosen to shrink back into familiarity and to tell myself a story and listen to that story that said all of those things that were popping up in my mind, why it didn't make logical sense to do it. But I knew, having worked with my intuition, having allowed myself to be led by my intuition for a really long time, in fact, most of my adult life, if not all, I knew not to bargain with it. I knew not to question it. I knew to follow it. And So I did. And I started to do it messy. I started to do it before I felt ready. I started to do it, and this is where the identity piece comes into it. You're not meant to do that action, to take that action as the version of you who's in doubt, fear, and resistance, right? As the old version of you, because then we're going to create a certain reality on that timeline. I had to, in that moment, assume, even if I didn't fully believe it with my whole heart and soul, I had to assume that I was good enough, that I was ready, that I was worthy. And that, my friends, is a choice. That assumption is a choice. It's a decision. And it's one that we choose. We choose to identify. I chose in that moment to identify with the soul aspect of myself. Now, the soul aspect of myself knows that I am limitless, knows that my abundance and my success is not tied to my worth, that I am worthy without any of that. Now, this was a big one, particularly coming from selling my business of 15 or 20 years, where I had a certain identity that was tied to success, that was tied to the results in my business, that was tied to a certain image of a business owner and an entrepreneur and a yoga teacher, and all of those things that were wrapped up. And when I sold the business, I went through this identity death or this ego death where I started to realize that actually my worth is not tied up in that like I thought it was. Because when that goes, who am I? Like, who am I beneath that? Who am I underneath that when the business identity goes, when I no longer have the attachment to that kind of success? And this is where we need to rewire, like rewrite the script around who we are, our identity, our personality. And if we can do that from a place of soul alignment where it's informed by our soul, that's when we can establish a self-concept that's really high level, that is reflective of your innate being and your authenticity, not a construction of the ego, not an ego identity, but rather the identity that's informed from soul. And that's when we can rewire certain internal beliefs that sound like, I'm worthy because I am, because I exist. That's it, full stop, period. That I am good enough, no matter what I do, no matter what I achieve, no matter what path I take, no matter what kind of validation I receive or don't receive from peers or people in my audience. Like, that was a big one. And the life and the universe is going to put you through tests in order to upgrade or up level your identity. And those tests are going to squeeze you. Those tests are going to challenge your beliefs. They're likely going to, like it did for me, strip away structures and people and relationships that actually were no longer serving me, in order for you to become the version of you who is naturally magnetic to the desire that you say you are ready for. So it's like we say that ourselves, I'm ready for this. And it's like the universe says, okay, hold my beer, here we go. Let's see if you're ready for it. I'm going to bring you this situation and let's see what you choose. Are you going to choose as your old identity? Are you going to choose as the one who's still rooted in their conditioning? Or are you going to choose as the woman who believes in herself? Are you going to choose as the woman who knows she's worthy, who knows she's successful, who knows that none of those things are compromise, are up for compromise? It's who you are. And so this is the inner work when we rewire our identity at a root level informed by our soul. We start to arrive onto a whole new timeline of possibility. Things show up out of nowhere, out of the blue, synchronicities, opportunities, new rooms you get invited into, new relationships, because suddenly The outside world is reflecting your upgraded self concept. Life wants to express itself through you. The divine wants to express itself through you. This is the whole part of the game, my friend. It doesn't need to be hard. It doesn't need to, we don't need to make a story up about all of it. But when you know when you're worthy, when you know just as you are that you're worthy and that you are good enough and that you are whole and complete as you are, you begin to open space and this beautiful channel for life to express itself through you, through your embodiment. So let's ground this a little bit more into, we always love steps and actionable steps. So, how can we bring all of this together? I'd say the first thing is decide what you want. And then ask yourself, am I available for this right now? Because we often think we are. But if God was to hand that to you right now, that desire, how would that feel if it was knocking at your door? Are you available for it? Are you available? Are you open enough to let it in? Or, and check that in with your body. Does it create some contraction and some constriction? If so, okay, there's a little bit more work that we need to do to expand your capacity to receive that, to teach your nervous system that this is actually safe for you to bring in that new relationship or that higher level of income that you desire or that business success or starting the podcast or whatever it is. And then your knowing is so, so powerful. So checking in then, okay, how do I feel about myself? Do I believe that I'm worthy as I am? Or is there some inner work that I can do around healing some of those limiting thoughts that I have? Some of the ways that I might outsource my power still. We don't need to dig up looking for these ghosts, right? Like life in your soul team, if you're working with your soul team, is going to show you, is going to bring you the information to show you where you might still be leaking energy, where you might want to tidy up your frequency, right? Life is going to show you. So it's really important that we pay attention. Are you in a space of trusting yourself? The universe is going to ask you to trust yourself by, like I did with the podcast, making a move that scares you, doing the thing before you feel ready. This is the whole acting as if, showing up as if you are the successful woman, showing up as if you completely trust in yourself. We are never going to be 100% completely free of fears and doubts and trepidation and limitation and worry. We're never going to be completely free of that. So if you are waiting for that, you're going to be waiting a really long time. The whole point here is to move as the version of you who trusts herself, who chooses herself even with the doubts and fears. And when you do that, my friends, you expand your capacity, you elevate your frequency, and you all of a sudden then become available for the reality that exists on that particular timeline. And my friends, your timeline is informed by your emotional, energetic state, by this beautiful cooperative coherence you have between what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and what you are making yourself available for. Okay, so first thing was deciding. Second thing was checking in with your body, your energy, your emotions. This is the beautiful identity piece. And then the third thing is letting it go. This is the hardest, right? Releasing the attachment. Quite often, the thing that creates the gap between where we are and where we want to be isn't that we're not taking enough action, quite often. It's the story that we're telling ourselves. It's the resistance that we hold. It's the tight grip that we have, wondering when is it going to happen. It's the attachment that we have to the outcome. What would it be like for you and you in your body to let go of the resistance, to soften your skin, to come into the present moment, to move as if you know that the universe has your back, that your desire is an inevitability, if you actually knew that, would you hold on in the way that you are? Would you be continually looking for evidence, wondering when it's going to show up in the way that you might be? When we can really start to implement and embody this, we open up a path of clarity and non-resistance, and we shift into our magnetism, we shift into our most magnetic self. My friends, piecing this all together, this is such a big part of why I created a 3-month program that's called Soul Power, to bring you into the essence of who you are, aligned with your soul. So you are making those choices, decisions, action from that true soul alignment, so that then your identity, your self concept is driven and informed by your soul. And so then your magnetism is inevitable. The desire is inevitable when you then anchor this timeline of your most abundant reality that's here. It's right here. You don't need to create it, but you do need to make yourself available. That internal state needs to shift. Your frequency needs to elevate. I have put this all into a beautiful group mentorship program. This isn't one where you just buy a course and you do it and then you go. No, we meet every week. We have these mastermind calls. I support you in your becoming, because it is your true identity, your most authentic identity, anchoring that closes the gap. And so that is the invitation to, this is the only way that you can work with me at the moment. And this is a way that we start to really embody, not just know these concepts, because then they stay up as ideas. That's nice. We listen to the podcast, we read the books, we continue to filter information. We have to move it from here down into our bodies. We have to really learn, how do I work with my soul team? It's a big part of this as well. How do I receive that guidance? How do I know that's guidance? How do I start to bring through life in the way that life and divinity wants to express itself through me? What's that higher calling? So if you feel in any way called to that, or to do anything else that you know is here for you, the invitation is to do it as the version of you, to make the choice as the version of you who knows and trusts that it's all taken care of. Whatever is showing up for you in your field, whatever is popping up and dancing around in your awareness, whatever you are feeling pulling at your heart, is your soul, is your future self calling you forward into the elevated timeline where your desire already exists. If you like this content, please follow along, subscribe to my channel. Make sure you are following along the Abundance Club podcast. And I would love it if you could share this with this episode with one person. And feel free to also let me know in the comments what resonates with you and what you find the most challenging about this journey. Walk away with this. Know that you are not alone. You are so safe to trust yourself. And your desire is here. You're not waiting for it, by the way. It's waiting for you. Take care.